Hey folks, how's it going? All right, so while I'm out here making videos, I want to take a minute to show you a recent purchase I made and why I made it. And that purchase is a grain mill. Now, this is a hand crank grain mill. This is an old one, by the way. This is for grinding up corn and wheat and what have you into flour or meal. And why did I buy this? One of the things that I do is I look at things that I use on a regular basis. And I tried to figure out ways of producing that for myself if things go really, really bad and I'm not able to go to the store to buy, for example, cornmeal or flour or what have you. Um, and in addition to that, this will not only grind up corn for cornmeal, uh, but you can also crack corn good enough to feed the chickens as well. So there's that benefit as well. You can actually any corn you grow, you can actually dry and grind up for your own chicken feed. Now, at first, I started looking at uh, modern options. An electric grain mill starts out at $300 and goes up from there. A modern hand crank like this one, you can get them as low as 30, 40, $50. But in doing research on them, I found that they were such poor quality that a lot of people were saying when they received them, they would be broken, uh, they would be damaged, they would be warped, they would be of such low quality that they wouldn't grind properly, uh, and it just wasn't worth the money. To me, it wasn't worth risking my money to buy something that I don't think is going to have any kind of quality behind it. Sorry, folks. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Again, like I was saying, electric grain mills that I found start at a little over $300 and go up. The manual grain mills I found on anything below 200 has had a lot of really, really bad reviews, and everything from it would arrive broken, it would arrive warped, it wouldn't grind up fine like it should. Um, to get a quality manual grain mill, you would spend almost as much starting out as you would for an electric mill. I mean, I've seen some of the top quality grain mills selling for $500 and up. So, um, uh, for me anyway, those two options are a little cost prohibitive. Uh, I wanted this option. I want to be able to get into this option so that I have it to fall back on, but I can't afford to spend that kind of money on it. I just bought an upgrade to a machine that I use in my knife making, and I spent $1,000 on that, and to me that was a necessary purchase. These are necessary purchases, but not quite as critical because I wouldn't be making money with these. With this new machine I bought for my knives, I make money with that. So that's the difference there. I was willing to invest that kind of money because I knew I would make a return on that money. Uh, for the for the grain mill, again, I would get a return out of my what I could produce myself, but you have to balance you have to balance things out sometimes. And for me, I can't pay $300 to $500 or even $800 like some were for a grain mill. So I got to looking around and I found an older vintage model grain mill. Uh, this thing is cast iron. I ordered it. I think I paid all in. I think I paid about $65 for it. It's a manual grain mill. I don't even know what brand it is. It doesn't say, but it was made in Poland because it's right there on the handles, made in Poland. It's got an OB on it. I haven't even done enough research to see what brand it is. You've got a little hopper here that can be removed. All of this can be taken off. This is where it actually grinds the meal up. This thing is in really good condition for its age because I'm going to guess this thing's probably 70 to 90 years old. But that's just a rough guess. Probably early 1900s. It is dirty, so I've got to really take it apart and clean it up really, really good. But to me, this was an option where a $300 manual grinder, which would work almost identically to this, wasn't. Um, so yeah, I mean that's why I made this particular choice. You know, the newer ones, again, anything below a couple of $100 that you would find on like Amazon or eBay, they were really, really poor quality. The reviews on them were horrible. Uh, I didn't find one manual grain mill worth anything. You know, the quality was just horrible until you started spending several $100s for one. And some of them were larger mills with large wheels that you would have to spin. They were they work really well. They're top quality, but again, they're five, six, seven, $800 a piece. Uh, the electric grain mills, the lowest end was $300, and that was the low end. That was the bottom price I could find. And we all know that usually the bottom price you find is not very good quality. Some of those went up to $1,200 to $1,500. The ones that I found. I mean, there was a whole range of them in between, but you start spending that kind of money, you want to know that what you've got is going to be worth it. And the reviews just didn't sell me on any of those. I've watched YouTube videos comparing all the different types, and you know, none of the reviews really sold me on spending that kind of money on a grain mill. And again, I'm not going to be milling cornmeal and flour on a regular daily basis. This is something I would be putting back to have on hand if things really did get that bad where I needed to grow my own corn to make cornmeal or to feed chickens or what have you. If I need to produce my own stuff, I would have that as an option. And I don't want to buy something for $600, $700 and just throw it on the shelf and not use it. To me, this was a good option. Again, it's a vintage, so this this thing's pretty heavy. It's got some weight to it. It's cast iron. It looks to be in really good condition. I've hang on, folks. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so like I was saying, after comparing reviews on all the modern versions, manual and electric, uh, and taking into consideration the price, the really poor reviews on most of them, and then after doing a lot of looking at a lot of vintage or antique tools, and I'm fascinated by antique tools anyway. I have a lot of antique tools, but so the fact that they've been around that long tells me that they're durable. Then that's not something that's going to break within 6 months of using it. So basing my decision on all these factors and all these comparisons that I made, and the fact that it's not something I'm going to be using every single day. It's more likely something I might use a couple of times a year or might just set up on the shelf as a backup to my systems. It made more sense to go this route than tie up several $100s, which I can't afford in something that I might use once or twice a year. So again, this is really heavy duty. Everything works on it properly. I haven't actually tested it out yet to see how well it grinds because it's really filthy. So I really need to clean it up good. But when I do get around to grinding some corn, uh, I'll probably take some deer corn and grind up for some chicken feed. uh, I'll be able to give you some feedback on that. But I want to go through this. I want to clean it up, make sure it's in really good shape before I do all that. One thing I will say about these, and I've seen people use these a lot, is that they'll put these on the kitchen counter. You have a clamping system here. This sits on the top of your counter, and you tighten this up till it clamps down. Now, a lot of people will clamp it onto their counter or what have you, but one thing that I've noticed that I've never seen anybody use is you've got these little notches right here for screws or bolts. It would make more sense rather than clamp this down on a kitchen counter and risk damaging your kitchen counter. Build you a table or a bench that you can set up outside for grinding. When you clamp it on there, secure it with 2 screws, because every time I've seen somebody use one of these, they'll clamp it down, and the minute they start cranking on it, the whole thing starts wobbling because this one clamp right here does not hold tight. It'll hold it to a degree, but it'll still rock back and forth. If you put 2 screws in where these slots allow, it'll hold it a lot more secure. You won't get as much wobble, and you won't have to fight it as much. But this is just something I wanted to share with you guys. It's a recent purchase I made. I have no problem using modern conveniences whenever possible. In fact, I prefer to do that. For example, I bought a meat grinder before I started deer hunting, and I've got 2 or 3 manual grinders, and then I've got an electric grinder. And I will take my electric grinder over the manual ones every single time. But should the grid go down and I don't have power, and I run out of fuel for my generator, or I don't have uh, a battery backup system, which I don't have one of those right now. I don't have a battery backup and solar panels right now. So if my generator runs out and the grid's down, I'm out of power. I don't want something dependent on power. So again, I've got manual grinders and electric grinder for my meats. I'll take the electric grinder every single day until the power goes out, and then it's useless. Uh, that's where my manual grinders will kick in. And they're going to be a lot more work, but it'll get the job done. This is the same principle. Uh, so, for me, and the primary motivation is this is going to go onto a shelf. I might use it once or twice a year. Uh, and I've got another item coming in that I want to talk about when it gets here, along the same lines as this. I can't spend $300 to $500 on something that's going to go on the shelf for except once or twice a year. I really can't. I didn't even spend that much on my electric meat grinder. So again, that's a personal decision I made based on my needs and my expectations out of it. And it's just something I wanted to share with you guys. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Again, when I get this cleaned up, I'll do a demonstration of grinding corn just to show you guys how well it works or whatever. This is not going to be perfect. It's not going to make cornmeal to the factory level that we're used to these days, but it will do the job. And there's a few things that most people aren't familiar with about using one of these. So that gives me uh, a good video to make out of that. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. Appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, folks, take care. Keep prepping. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves and your family. And until next time, I'll catch you later.